Who's going to start a quarterback next week, and who will start a quarterback in the next week? Who should, who will? Those are two different questions. Darryl Wright is going to join us at 8 o'clock this morning. 216-474-0092. Is it time to get a little bit of credit where credit is due? I thought Chador was pretty decent yesterday. Pretty good. No. See, I keep having to fix my words because I was excited about yesterday. There are some pessimists in there. There are some folks trying to get in and say, nah, he wasn't that good. You guys are crazy. You guys are just Browns fans. Okay, maybe we are. The bar isn't high. I said all last week, it's not a high bar. You got to be better than what Dylan Gabriel was. And he was better than what Dylan Gabriel was. There were some plays there, and I don't care if some of it was a fluke. I don't care if some of it was a luck. Kept your eyes downfield, trying to make some plays. That's what I needed him to do. And there were so many times where the Raiders they tried to just do exactly what the Ravens did. Problem is there's no Nate Wiggins back there. There's no Malachi Starks back there. There's no Kyle Hamilton coming down the A-gap. Which, by the way, did you see that Grant Delpit stunt?
Yeah.
Oh, my God in heaven. That was fantastic.
Everything they did worked yesterday against Geno Smith.
I should say for the Raiders, there's no Denzel Ward back there. There's no Grant Delpit back there. They don't have them. They don't have them players. And you got Isaiah Bond, who was able to run behind some of these guys. Now, we'll get to the Jerry Judy thing coming up in a bit. I want to ask Darryl about it before I go. I got to be honest with you, I felt kind of bad that he fumbled the ball on Sunday, and I'll tell you more about that around 8:45. I thought that Shedeur played pretty well, considering. I also think that they handled the situation very well yesterday. I thought that the offense was balanced. I thought they did everything they could to be conservative, to take care of him, but not just completely castrate any ability to make a play. I think that they did as good a job as I've seen a Browns coaching staff do with a young QB. I've seen a lot of bad quarterbacks go out there and play, and I've seen them be set up for total failure. But I thought that they did a tremendous job, and I think that Tommy Rees and Kevin and those guys, I think they deserve credit for it.
Well, here's the thing I noticed. I remember last week, I think it was Jonathan and Nick in the afternoon, they were talking about how, well, now there's nothing, there's no outcome that Stefanski will get credit for at this point, because if Shedeur looks really good, it's going to be, well, how did you evaluate him so far behind that it took this long? But I think the way the game played out and what we've seen with so little, it's obviously the smallest of samples, a half against Baltimore, and then against the worst team in the league, probably. I think we can say that confidently now. I know the Tennessee, we'll see them in a few weeks, right?
Tennessee was good yesterday, man.
Cam Ward had his best game of the year.
Cam Ward did that kind of, I'm going to throw him on my back, and we're going to keep plugging away here and see if we can get back in this ball game.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a performance by him.
I mean, I see a lot of people now saying the Raiders are the worst team. Who knows? It could be a sliding scale with all the bad teams around this league.
Don't count the Jets out just yet. I know we just lost to them.
When we lost to the Jets, we were the worst team.
We were, and deservedly so.
So maybe it's a fluid situation, but in the small sample size, I think you're seeing that Shedeur has, like we've talked about all year, arm talent, no doubt. Those leadership traits, no doubt. Composure. I thought he looked really composed yesterday, but I also have to say, I
was most impressed after the pick.
Yeah,
I thought it could have really
gone
downhill after that. He could have started pressing things like that. He didn't.
But I do think also you could see, is he ready to be, hey, I'm the starter, put a team on my back right now? No, he's not ready for any of that. And I think that speaks to, some of, I don't want to let him off the hook totally, but some of what Stefanski had been telling people based on the Jason Lloyd story that, this was supposed to be a redshirt year for him. And they had two veterans here. They had Joe Flacco. They had Kenny Pickett. Now, none of that made sense to me. The organization of the quarterback room made zero sense to me. But it kind of makes sense. We'll see what Chador looks like against better competition, because he is going to see, better competition the rest of the year for the most part, right? So I'm not so quick to not give credit. I think they were the offensive play calling, the format, what they were doing, it obviously kept that pass rush at bay. Yeah. Because the offensive line held up in pass protection yesterday. And I think that was the best pass protection they've kind of had all year. So you have to give the coaching staff some credit.
Yeah.
regardless of who they were going up against. I mean, Max Crosby's still there.
So
right?
do you think that this maybe means that they were right about the QB situation all along? Have they handled this QB situation well then?
Well, yeah, and it's like,
is it good enough to go on one game?
What part of it? Like, I'll never understand the drafting both him and Gabriel, and I'll never understand having both Pickett and Flacco and the way that they organized that part of it. That made no sense. I won't give them a pass for that at all.
Okay, so we're in agreement there.
But I will give them credit. Like, I think they have a quarterback who is going to be learning on the fly here, and they didn't want to throw him right in to the blender, earlier than they had to.
Well, we had a call earlier from a guy named Todd in Akron. He was upset that they didn't put Shedeur in earlier in the season. I think that what we're seeing here is that this could have been so much more strict. I disagree with a lot of what Todd said. What I agree with, though, is that this could have been streamlined so much easier. Had they not, and even if you said, we're just going to have Kenny or we're just going to have Joe, you could try to do flyers on both quarterbacks. I think that they really believed that he wasn't going to be available later on in the draft. They got to the 5th round. They said, to hell with it. We're just going to draft this guy in the 5th round, and that's where they went. And you had 4 quarterbacks there, and it led to a bit of a mess. And their messaging was bad. I mean, when you're saying open competition for QBs, and you could say, well, you guys know even better. No, it doesn't matter. You still need to spell it out for everybody, or they're going to hold you to your words. So you said open competition.
Hey, you don't have to lie.
The Browns said open.
What was the point of lying?
You didn't need to lie. You could do a lot of different things if you wanted to. But I'm going to tell you this. If it would have been either just Joe or just Kenny, and you would have worked with 3 as usual, and some have 4. Some guys have a guy who can throw to get other wide receivers in. But that's not a rookie who a lot of people have they clearly have a lot of love for the guy. So you already set yourself up for failure because of your messaging. However, in this moment, it kind of makes me look back on it, not like they've handled this well all along. No. But the way that they did work with Shedeur yesterday, I'm going, man, it didn't have to be this way previous. It didn't have to be this way. He could be further along in the process if they would have had 3 guys, or they would have not had Kenny or not had Joe, or they would have not had Dylan Gabriel. They clearly like Dylan Gabriel. I don't know what the hell they're looking, but either way, had they not had them, you could still have 2 rookies and a veteran, and they could have both been looking at him and then seeing what they could do as far as mental reps, and then eventually have taken over. You could have been so much more further along in the process. I don't know what your record would be. You may still very well be 3-8. You may still, Joe was not seeing it when he was here. The wide receiver weapons are not great. It's true. The offensive line struggled at the beginning of the year, but heavily. So you still may very well be 3-8, but I see that yesterday and I go, well, maybe we could have been a little bit further along. Maybe he could have known a little bit more everything before just yesterday. But I thought they handled yesterday very, very well. I thought he handled it yesterday, Shedeur, and I thought the coaching staff did a marvelous job with it.
Yeah, and despite the fact they couldn't run the ball. So that, to me, might have been what was most impressive.
And they stayed balanced. They let their defense go out there and dominate, and they did. And they did what they needed to do to not make a mockery of offense, to not let Shedeur get nervous and get in his own head. And I thought they did a nice job of battling back from all the little things that could really be a killer for this offense. The interception, Jerry Judy's fumble after a big play. These are things that have affected this team before. And so you have to have some excitement there. If you think about this, if Dylan Gabriel gets rid of that ball and finds Jerry Judy, and Jerry Judy had that same fumble, how are you feeling? Because I think everybody else, they probably still would have won the game with their defense, but everybody else is kind of going, oh my God, even when we get lucky, this is terrible. No, I came away feeling some confidence with him.
And look, of all the situations, compare the situations that he was thrust into. The second half against Baltimore, all right, that's not a winning formula for almost anybody. I know we have had occasions, we'll never forget Baker Mayfield coming in that very first time. But, for the most part, most quarterbacks are going to fail in that spot against a desperate team like Baltimore. Mm-hmm. But then think about how different it was yesterday. Totally opposite. I mean, after that original 3-and-out, then your special teams get you all the way down to the 6-yard line. So you're spotted points there when Judkins comes in the Wildcat and scores a touchdown. So you're playing with a lead. Well, now Myles Garrett and this defensive line gets to go against an overmatched offensive front.
Yes.
And they just feasted. So they played with a lead. They were teeing off the entire game. So that's a beautiful scenario for Shedeur. What is it going to look like when it's not so beautiful, when it's more of a normal situation? We'll find out. That's why I'm excited to see him.
Yes, and that's why I want to see him even more. But what they did on Sunday, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't want to give them any credit whatsoever and think that everything they're doing is just to spite Chador and they want him to be a failure. What you can do, though, is build on these and go, this is what worked, this is what didn't. These are some of the things that worked, this is what didn't. Now, you also have to look at some of the tendencies. Like, I think today is an opportunity. I know he gave him off until Wednesday. Shedor's got to be in the facility and going over some things and getting his treatment and getting in.
Yeah, I feel like
getting ready for San Francisco because they're going to see things and they're going to attack some of those tendencies. And that's a better team than what Las Vegas is.
I have to say,
I want him to be able to get through San Francisco, and then can we see what he does against maybe Tennessee?
The stuff I heard from insiders all week, I know they got to come up with stories, and Shedeur in a title is going to get hits. But he had his iPad with him at all times, and he's been taking it serious. Like, well, he's being a pro. That's what I would expect 100% of quarterbacks, not named Johnny Manziel, to do when they're getting their first start. That to me,
you got to be obsessed with it.
Those stories, I looked at them and I rolled my eyes. And nothing against Shedeur, but yes, you're the quarterback. Act like one. That should be expected. And really, if you're Shedeur, and you should be acting like that all the time. And I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying this was the first time we had heard that. So yeah, you should be there today. There should be no Victory Monday for Shedeur Sanders. I think most Browns fans would.
I don't think there's a Victory Monday for any starting quarterback in the NFL.
In fact, I don't even know if the team at 3-8 should really have a Victory Monday. But yeah, Shedeur has to be there this week. At least that offense. That offense should definitely be there. Did you see the advanced numbers? Browns finished with a league worst 26% success rate yesterday. You do not get a Victory Monday on 26% success rate.
Would you like to have that conversation with Daryl coming up?
Sure.
Maybe I'm a softie. Maybe I'm not tough enough. Maybe I'm just a punk, Tone. I felt bad about the Jerry Judy fumble. Here's Nathan Zagura after the incident during the game yesterday on the UH Browns radio network.
Jerry Judy just didn't sense Chin coming from the backside. Now, that's what I talked about earlier. Cover 3, you run the clear out and then the deep dig over. Shedeur Sanders did a great job buying time, found Judy down the field, but somebody's got to be calling to him, fanning. Somebody's got to talk, say ball, 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 wolf, 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 whatever the call is to let him know to cover that football up because he basically was going down. He had 3 guys kind of hops in the air. That's a big turnover now.
So that is a huge turnover, and a lot of people are just cussing Jerry Judy out on the internet and in my mentions and on my phone, and I stayed pretty quiet because I'm like, he didn't do it on purpose. I kind of feel bad. I think it's been a frustrating year. It's been a bad year. Should I just take the gloves off and start ripping Jerry Judy? Is that what you want me to do? If you want me to do it, tell me I'm wrong, and I'll do it. If I'm wrong, and you've talked me into many things before, I've gone, you know what, Tone, you're right, in the middle of the show. But I can't find myself doing it because guys, they have pulled teeth just to get first downs this year. So anytime a guy gets the ball, he's going to try to probably do more with it than what you want him to do. The best thing to do is to cover up the ball and probably go down. He's trying to put a move on somebody. He totally forgot anybody else was around him. By the way, he had 1 catch yesterday on 3 targets? That was his 1 catch. And it got fumbled and knocked out. It was a great play by Jeremy Chin. And yeah, he should have known. He didn't know. It ended up costing him bad. And it's easy to do this in a win. But man, I've flown off the handle a couple of times here this year, and I haven't felt that great about it. At least you know what? No, I flew off the handle 1 time this year, and that was week 1. I still got to interview that guy at some point, and I got to tell him, which is going to be terrible, but I got to do it. And you mentioned Cam Thomas, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago when they lost? When did they lose to the Jets? 2 weeks ago. Yeah, when he jumped off sides. I'm like, he's doing the best he can. He's in there.
He's had a lot of 15-yarders.
It was a bonehead thing, obviously. And then this with Jerry Judy, it's kind of bonehead, but neither of them did it on purpose. And you can just get rid of Cam Thomas. You can't just get rid of Jerry Judy. I'm like, I really don't want to get rid of either guy. If we're evaluating here, I don't want to get rid of either one. It wasn't like if there was a route that he gave up on, which was accused of him earlier in that game, I'll be critical of that. But there are a couple of situations where I think Jerry Judy, it's it's good to get a win. I think this is gonna get harder if things continue to be hard on this offense. Like if San Francisco figures him out, Chador or somebody else does it, then I think we're gonna go to a dark place with Jerry Judy, because it was already said once at the beginning of the game yesterday. Nathan was critical of the 3rd and 16 route, the long incompletion. Said really kind of gave up on the route. You've had him complaining before. You had the one where Judy was open on a wheel route in the second quarter, and Chador just didn't see it. And you could see Jerry waving at him. Like, he's frustrated. And I'm trying to be understanding of it, because I know that's supposed to be a number one guy.
Well, yeah,
and maybe I'm just being too nice.
He's led the NFL in drops last year. He's tied for the lead this year. And imagine if they actually targeted him more, what the drop situation would be. It just hasn't been good. He had the one game against Denver last year, and outside of that, he has looked.
He had some other good games. Denver was the best game.
But every receiver has some good games. The fact is, he's supposed to be a number one, and it's like,
well, he's the number one on this team, so there's nothing else I can do. It ain't gonna be Cedric Tillman.
It's just so clear that they need a massive upgrade, not just a little bit of upgrade. They need a massive upgrade in that room.
They do
for next year. Like, the Isaiah Bond thing, that was great. But I just don't think that's a dependable guy, over the course of the game.
I thought you meant the entire situation. That's not great at all. He's not been good except for that one big play.
So it's just they made a big swing for Judy, and I think you've probably seen his best football. I just don't think it's ever really going to get much better. I think he's gonna have, like every receiver in the NFL, he's gonna have glimpses where, all right, that was a great play, but so much is talked about. Well, he's a perfect route runner. Is he that perfect if he's just having this many issues that he's had in the short amount of time we've had him, a couple of years? I don't know. It seems like to me every game we see more of Jerry Judy, like Mark Schlereth just gets proven more and more right every single week.
Well, what do you want to do with him? I don't think I can get rid of him anytime soon.
I got to take a look at the contract. That's part of the deal. The issue with their wide receiver room right now, like they need a huge upgrade. But just getting rid of Jerry Judy, that doesn't necessarily solve that either.
No, it doesn't. But I think that's kind of why I'm being nice. It's like I kind of need him, because Cedric Tillman ain't ready to be a number one. Like, you're going to have him for the rest of the year, obviously. Yeah. But Cedric Tillman isn't ready to be a number one. And depending on how this draft shakes out, like Daryl's like, well, yeah, you could probably go. I'm like, guys, it's been one game, and I like Chador in this game. I'm not changing any plans yet. You got 6 more games to change. In my eyes, who knows what Kevin will choose, but Kevin should choose Shedeur to be the starter this week. In my eyes, you got 6 more games to change my mind. And that's plenty of runway to change my mind. Until then, I'm sorry, I have it penciled in. It's quarterback until Shedeur proves me otherwise. I'd just lay that out right now. But I think that when it comes to the wide receiver room, like, yeah, it's not that great. And I think it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I thought he tried to make a play. It ended up backfiring on him, trying to make a play. I'm glad that they were able to bounce back and still able to keep the offense up, because that was a terrible turnover, awful turnover, but you're able to take care of your business afterwards. I got to get his head clear through the next 6 games of the season, because, again, you're a 3-8 football team. I don't still see very many wins on this schedule coming up here. I mean, you basically look at Tennessee, and then, well, that might be it for the 2025 season. And even that's a toss-up, because you're only a 3-8 win football, or a 3-8 football team. So if you're not going to be winning a lot of games, like, he could play well and you could not win games, and we might be feeling a lot better about next year. But if they don't do well and it does become some sort of a struggle and the tape does catch up, I just don't need Jerry Judy pouting every Wednesday in media. I don't need Jerry Judy pouting on the sidelines. Keith, our boss, had a great observation. It looked like on the sidelines, like Chador was the veteran and Jerry was the rookie in that situation. And I can't help but agree.